Claire's heart skipped. No one had ever spoken to her like that. But before she could respond, her phone buzzed again. It was a message from Supermart. Claire, you've been replaced. No need to return to work. Management. Her chest tightened. She stared at the message in disbelief. Ethan saw the change on her face. What's wrong? I just lost my job, she whispered. What? They replaced me. Just like that. No warning. Ethan frowned. Why would they do that? I don't know, Claire said, her voice shaking. I've never even missed a shift. Ethan's jaw clenched. His instinct screamed Bianca. Across town, at a rooftop lounge. Bianca sipped her orange mimosa while Charles stood beside her, holding a laptop. You did it, she asked, smiling without warmth. Charles nodded. Her supervisor got an anonymous email accusing Claire of stealing products. The management fired her without investigation. Bianca smirked. Good. That should keep her busy. A broke, jobless woman doesn't have time for romance. Charles shifted nervously. Bianca, what's the end goal here? She looked at him sharply. You already know. Ethan belongs to me. He's going through some weird mental episode, but he'll come back to me. And when he does, I don't want anyone else in his heart. Even if he falls in love with her. Charles asked cautiously. Bianca's eyes turned cold. Then I'll burn that love to the ground. Back at the hospital. Claire sat on the bench outside the ward again, holding her phone like it was poison. Ethan sat beside her, his face unreadable. You think someone did this to me on purpose? She asked. Yes, he replied without hesitation. You said you never missed a shift. You worked overtime. They don't fire people like you unless someone's pulling strings. Claire let out a bitter laugh. Who would even bother? I'm nobody. Ethan turned to her. You're not nobody, Claire. She smiled sadly. You keep saying things like that, Ethan. Why? He looked her straight in the eye. Because someone needs to remind you. They sat in silence, the weight of her pain heavy between them. Then Ethan said, I might be able to get you a job. Something decent. It's not fancy, but it'll help. Claire blinked. You have connections. He paused for a second. Let's just say I know someone who knows someone. She studied him for a moment, her eyes narrowing slightly. Who are you, really? He chuckled nervously. Just a man who got lucky with a second chance. Before she could press further, her phone rang again. Another unknown number. Hello. Miss Claire Morris, a man's voice asked. Yes. This is from the oncology department. Your mother has been approved for partial sponsorship from the Jeffield Medical Trust. Treatment begins next week. Claire gasped. What? How? It was processed anonymously. Congratulations. The line went dead. She turned to Ethan, stunned. Did you? She whispered. He shook his head. No idea. Maybe someone upstairs is watching out for you. But his eyes didn't match his words. And Claire was too overwhelmed to notice. She covered her face and wept. Not from sadness, but from a strange, overwhelming sense of hope. Hope she hadn't felt in years. But hope always has enemies. And in the shadows, someone was already planning her fall. Claire stood in front of the faded metal gate, staring at the small building behind it. It didn't look like much, an old bakery tucked between a salon and a used electronics store, but it felt like a second chance. Ethan stood beside her, adjusting his hoodie. It's not fancy, but the owner's kind. They need someone honest and hardworking. You do great. Claire turned to him. You really didn't have to do this. He smiled. I wanted to. She nodded slowly, her fingers curling around the strap of her bag. What's the owner like? Ethan looked ahead. Tough. But fair. You see. Inside, the scent of fresh bread and warm cinnamon filled the air. A middle-aged woman with strong shoulders and flour-dusted hands emerged from the back. She had sharp eyes and a no-nonsense expression. You're Claire? Yes, ma'am. The woman glanced at Ethan. She the one? He nodded. All right. You start today. Clean hands, sharp mind. No stealing. No phone during work. You mess up, you leave. Understood? Yes, ma'am. Good. Aprons on the hook. Get started. As Claire disappeared into the back, Ethan turned to the woman. Thank you, Mrs. Adora. The woman raised an eyebrow. You always show up with lost causes, Ethan. What's the story with this one? Ethan's gaze lingered on the door Claire had walked through. She helped me when she had nothing. I just want her to breathe again. Mrs. Adora gave him a long look. Still hiding, are you? Still pretending, he said quietly. She sighed. One day, this whole charade will catch up to you. I know, he said, then turned and left. Later that evening, Claire wiped sweat from her brow as she stepped outside the bakery. Her legs ached, her hands smelled of sugar and dough, but there was a strange satisfaction sitting in her chest. Her phone buzzed. A message from the hospital. New test results are in. Please come with your mother's sponsor tomorrow. She froze. Sponsor. Claire had never seen or spoken to anyone from the so-called medical trust. Was someone watching her? Why was everything suddenly falling into place? Before she could think too much, a sleek black Mercedes slowed down in front of her. Her heart skipped. The tinted window rolled down. Bianca. Claire stiffened. Bianca smiled, sunglasses perched on her perfectly drawn brows. Claire, right. Claire said nothing. I heard you got fired, Bianca said sweetly. Tough word, huh? What do you want? Bianca's smile widened. I just wanted to see the girl who thinks she can win a man like Ethan with her charity cases and flower hands. Claire's eyes narrowed. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you do, Bianca said, her tone sharp now. Let me give you a small tip, men like Ethan don't stay with girls like you. They experiment. Then they come home. Claire crossed her arms. And girls like you think they own people like him. Bianca's smile vanished. I'll only say this once, she said, voice low and threatening. Stay away from him. You don't know who you're dealing with. With that, the window rolled up and the car sped off. Claire stood there, heart pounding. What did Bianca mean by men like Ethan? What exactly was she missing? Meanwhile, Ethan stared at the screen on his phone. Charles had sent him security footage from Supermart, video evidence of Bianca orchestrating Claire's termination. Ethan's jaw clenched. He had tried to stay under the radar, to live a simple life for once. But Bianca wasn't backing down. His fingers hovered over the phone. He needed to tell Claire the truth. But, not yet. Not until he had everything under control. He needed to protect her from Bianca. From himself. From the world she didn't even know she had stepped into. That night, Claire sat by her mother's hospital bed again. She held her hand, brushing her fingers gently over her skin. You're going to be okay, Mom, she whispered. You have to be. Everything is changing now. Someone, somewhere is helping us. I just don't know who. Her mother stirred, then mumbled weakly, who's that boy? Claire blinked. Ethan. Her mom gave a tiny nod. He's kind, Claire whispered. He doesn't have much, but he's given me more peace than anyone ever has. Her mother gave a small smile, eyes still shut. Don't trust too easily, Claire. Even good faces hide secrets. Claire leaned back, her heart suddenly heavy again. Why did that warning feel too real? Claire paced the hospital corridor, her worn sneakers squeaking faintly against the floor tiles. She had barely slept. Bianca's words still rang in her head like a siren. Men like Ethan don't stay with girls like you. But why did that feel so personal? Did Bianca know something she didn't? She clenched her fist, trying to block it out. There were more important things, like the bill increase she just got from the hospital. The surgery her mom desperately needed had been pushed forward. She had 2 weeks to raise more than 500,000 naira. God, she whispered under her breath, where am I supposed to find that kind of money? Her thoughts were interrupted when a nurse approached her, a brown envelope in hand. Claire. She nodded slowly. The medical sponsor dropped this off this morning. Anonymous again. Claire took the envelope with trembling hands. Inside was a printed letter and proof of payment, 250,000 paid into her mother's account. Her heart dropped to her knees. Again, she whispered. Who was doing this? She knew it wasn't Ethan, or did she? But how could someone with barely enough money for himself suddenly know rich people or pull strings like this? Claire turned her head and saw Ethan walking toward her. He wore his usual hoodie and jeans, looking exhausted but gentle. You okay? He asked, scanning her face. She forced a small smile. You keep showing up at the right time. He smiled faintly. You looked like you needed someone. She stared at him for a long second. Did you do this? She asked, holding up the envelope. He looked at the paper, then shook his head slowly. No. But maybe someone who believes in kindness did. Her shoulders sagged. She wanted to believe him. She needed to. But something in her chest twisted. He was hiding something, she could feel it. But still, her heart wouldn't stop softening whenever he showed up. Ethan, she said gently, what did you do before you got this supermart job? He hesitated. I used to work in logistics. She raised a brow. You're lying. He chuckled nervously. Maybe. Why lie? He looked away. Because people look at you differently when they know everything. Claire stared at him. Maybe I wouldn't. He glanced at her then, eyes soft. Maybe that's what I'm afraid of. The air grew thick between them. Her heart beat too fast. She didn't know what she wanted more, the truth, or to keep pretending this was just two broken people trying to fix each other. Elsewhere. Bianca slammed her glass on the table, the sound slicing through the air. You mean to tell me you've been following him for 2 weeks and you still haven't found proof? She snapped. Yes, Ma, her bodyguard replied, sweat on his brow. He's clever. Changes routine. Takes public bikes. Avoids cars. Bianca hissed. He's hiding something, I know it. She pulled out her phone and scrolled through Ethan's photos. Most were taken years ago, at boardrooms, international conferences, charity galas. But this new Ethan, this poor, hoodie-wearing ghost. She barely recognized him. What is he planning? She muttered. Why live like that? Why lie? Her fingers stopped on a photo of Claire. This girl, she said coldly. Find out everything about her. Family, debts, hospital records. I want to know what he sees in her. Yes, Ma. Bianca's eyes darkened. If she's his weakness, I'll use her. Later that night, Claire and Ethan sat on the sidewalk outside her mother's ward. The city hummed in the distance, but it was oddly quiet between them. I think you're the best thing that's happened to me in a long time, Claire said quietly. Ethan turned to her, startled. Why? Because you remind me that good people still exist. Even in the worst places. He looked down, swallowing hard. You're wrong, Claire. She blinked. What? I'm not a good person. I've lied. I'm still lying. And you deserve better. She turned to face him fully. Then tell me the truth. Silence. I can't, he said, voice low. Not yet. Claire's eyes welled up, but she nodded. Okay. Then don't expect me to fall for a man I don't know. She stood slowly and walked away, her heart cracking open with every step. Ethan watched her go, fist clenched at his sides. One day, he told himself. One day, she'll know everything. And maybe, just maybe, she'll still choose me. Claire tossed in her narrow bed, sheets twisted around her legs. Sleep was a luxury she couldn't afford tonight. Ethan's words replayed in her mind over and over. I've lied. I'm still lying. And you deserve better. Why would someone who barely had anything be hiding? And why did her heart ache so badly when he walked away? She sat up and reached for her phone. Her chest tightened when she saw her bank balance. The money that had covered her mom's bill still didn't add up. Who was helping her behind the scenes? Was it Ethan? If so, why lie? Claire couldn't shake the feeling. Something was off. And as much as she didn't want to doubt Ethan, she also couldn't pretend anymore. She scrolled to her friend Lola's contact. Claire, hey. You still have that friend at the registry? Lola, yeah, why? Claire, I need you to help me run a name. Discreetly. Lola, what name? Claire, Ethan Co. Claire stared at the message after sending it. Her fingers trembled. If he was hiding something dangerous, she needed to know. For her mom's sake. For her own heart. Meanwhile, Bianca leaned across the table at a dimly lit bar in Victoria Island. A man sat across from her, tall, cold, with a long scar on his chin. He stirred his drink slowly, his gaze never leaving hers. I need a favor, Bianca said. The man smiled darkly. I don't do favors, Bianca. I collect debts. This one will pay itself, she said coolly. There's a girl named Claire. She's gotten too close to someone important. I need her scared. Shaken. Broken. Define broken, he said, swirling his glass. Bianca's smile didn't reach her eyes. Enough to make her disappear. The man leaned back. You're still obsessed with Ethan, aren't you? She didn't answer. She didn't need to. Her silence said it all. The next morning, Claire sat beside her mother's bed, brushing a damp cloth gently over the older woman's forehead. Her mother's breathing was still shallow, her eyes flickering behind her eyelids. The nurse had told her earlier that the infection had spread, and she needed another procedure, fast. Claire bit back tears. Mom, you have to stay. I still need you. I'm not ready to do life alone. The door creaked open behind her. Claire turned quickly. It was Ethan. His eyes met hers, and she quickly looked away. I brought breakfast, he said, placing the bag down. Hot tea. Bread. Small jollof rice too. I wasn't sure what you'd be in the mood for. She didn't respond. Claire, he said softly, moving closer. Don't shut me out. She turned to him, eyes fierce. Then stop lying to me. Ethan's face dropped. I know something is off, Ethan. You say you're poor, but money keeps falling from the sky. Who are you really? I can't tell you yet, he said, voice heavy. But I swear I'm not trying to hurt you. You already are. He reached out but she stepped back. You think I'm too fragile to handle the truth, she whispered. You think you get to choose what part of you I see? No. He hesitated. I'm afraid that once you see everything, you won't want me anymore. Claire's throat tightened. Try me. He looked down at the floor. "Please, Claire," he said. "Just trust me a little longer." She shook her head slowly. "I'm running out of time. My mom is running out of time." And without another word, she walked past him and out of the room, her heart breaking with each step. Claire's hands trembled as she zipped her mother's medical file into the torn brown envelope. She could barely see the words in front of her. Everything in her life was spinning, too fast, too loud, too painful. Her phone buzzed. "Lola, girl, are you sitting down? That name you gave me. Ethan Cole." "Claire, yes. What did you find?" "Lola, Claire is not who he says he is. The Ethan Cole you're with doesn't exist in any national database. But there is an Ethan Alexander Cole. Billionaire. CEO. Private as hell. Owns that mega tech company based in Lekki." "Claire, wait. What?" Claire blinked. Her chest went hollow. She stared at the message again, not believing it. "Ethan is a billionaire." The door to the small clinic creaked open behind her, and a cold shiver ran through her. She turned quickly. A tall man in a black cap and face mask stood at the entrance. Something about him felt wrong. Too still. Too quiet. His eyes scanned the room slowly, too slowly, like he was memorizing every detail. Claire held the envelope tighter and stepped toward the exit, forcing herself to breathe steadily. "Excuse me," she said softly, edging past the stranger. He didn't move. Just stared. Her steps quickened, heartbeat rising. As she stepped out onto the dusty street, she glanced back. He was still standing there. Watching. She didn't wait. Claire rushed down the road, her slippers slapping against the pavement. Her heart thundered. She didn't know what was happening, but something deep in her gut screamed run. Elsewhere. Ethan stood outside his hidden apartment, eyes closed as the wind blew against his face. His chest felt tight. Claire's words from the hospital echoed in his mind. "You already are." He hated the lie. But the truth would destroy everything. His phone buzzed. "Private alert, unusual surveillance activity around Claire Johnson. Unmarked vehicle. Multiple sightings." Another alert, Bianca Salter seen at King's Lounge with known black market enforcer. Ethan's jaw clenched. "Bianca. She's moving faster than I expected." He grabbed his car keys. It was time to stop pretending. Claire was in danger, and no lie was worth her life. Back at Claire's room. Claire slammed the door shut and pushed the table in front of it, chest heaving. The streets had felt too quiet. The man had followed her for 3 blocks before she lost him in the small food market. She collapsed onto the chair, trying to calm her pulse. Why was someone following her? And more importantly, if Ethan really was a billionaire, why was he pretending? Suddenly, her door knocked. Knock. Knock. She froze. Another knock. More urgent this time. Her phone was dead. She had no one nearby. She grabbed the closest thing, a metal spoon, ridiculous, but it gave her courage. She moved slowly toward the door. "Claire," a voice called. "It's me. Ethan." She hesitated. "Please. Open up. You're not safe." She pulled the table aside and unlocked the door. Ethan stepped in quickly and locked it behind him. "You were being followed," he said, out of breath. The man in black. Her eyes widened. "You saw him too?" Ethan nodded. "He's not random. Someone hired him." "Who would hire?" "Bianca." The name dropped like poison. Ethan didn't wait. "Listen, Claire. I know you're angry. I know I've lied. But right now, none of that matters. You're in danger." She took a step back. "Why? What does Bianca want from me?" She's obsessed, Ethan said, voice shaking. She wants me, not for love, but for power. For control. And she sees you as a threat. Claire tried to breathe, but the walls felt like they were closing in.